We are so pleased to honor our friend and colleague, Susan Robertson, with the 2020 NEMA Lifetime Achievement Award. This honor is awarded to an individual with at least 35 years in the museum field and is based on an individual's commitment, participation, and support for NEMA, their dedication to professional growth, and service as a role model or mentor who supports the next generation of museum professionals. Susan has committed her entire museum field career to Gore Place in Waltham, Massachusetts, the historic 1806 country estate of Massachusetts Governor Christopher Gore, where for 30 years she has served as executive director. Susan has also been deeply involved in the Waltham community and has been a leader and supporter of NEMA through 3 decades. Her leadership in our museum association and her mentorship of countless museum professionals has had a tremendous impact on our field. Thank you, Susan, for your many contributions. Please join us in congratulating Susan Robertson. Susan, first of all, congratulations, really, on behalf of NEMA. This is very exciting for any number of reasons, but not the least of which, we hold you in such high esteem as an organization, and you personally, of course, because you were such a person of such support to NEMA over the years. So I guess I'd like to just get started with sort of a little bit of a career overview so that folks can kind of understand who you are and where you've been. And I know you've been at Gore Place for, 30 years is the ED there. And so
being selected to be ED here was a highlight for me because I didn't intend to ever be an ED.
Yeah, really.
I wanted to be, I guess, a grant writer. Wanted to be a development officer, but who wrote grants? I didn't want to go out and ask major donors for money. I just wanted to write grants. And I worked here for 7 years for 3 other directors, sort of as their assistant. Not officially a deputy, just their assistant, woman of all work.
Right.
And so they fired the 3rd director at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't know that. I was home. And they called me up and said, "We're coming to visit you at 9 o'clock tonight."
Yikes.
So I had to clear the living room of all my kids' stuff.
Yeah.
And in they came and they told me what they had done. And they said, "You're our choice."
Wow.
And I said, "I can't be your choice. I'm one of the gang.
Right.
I can't give orders to the gang. I'm one of the gang." And they said, "You can learn."
Wow. There's a lot of trust in you for that.
Apparently they did. So I became the executive director without so much as any kind of training, just except I'd worked for 7 years there. And I remember the first time I walked into a room where the staff was gathered talking, and there was all of a sudden dead silence. And I thought, oh my.
Right. Susan, how did you get involved in a museum career in the first place? What drew you to museums as a young person?
Gore Place is the only museum I've ever worked for. I was a journalism major in college, and then I discovered that wasn't very creative. I don't know why I didn't realize it wasn't, but I didn't. I'd never thought about working for a museum. So after I graduated from college, I went to work for an ad agency and loved that. And then took time off to have 3 children. So when my youngest was entering 1st grade, I began to look around for a job. And I saw this job at a house museum in Waltham, and I thought, they're looking for a secretary, bookkeeper, and an assistant to the director. Well, I could do everything but the bookkeeping, and I can learn that.
So reflect a little on your experiences with NEMA. I know that you've been a board member for a long time. You were the president for a time. You've been involved in countless sessions on governance and on strategic planning, especially. I know your loves and presented at workshops and the conference and the like. What are some of your highlights?
The favorite thing that I ever did for NEMA, I like being president. That was fine. Although that was like having a second full-time job.
Yeah.
In case you don't know, it was. Because there was a lot of upheaval in NEMA at that point, and I just fell square in my lap, and I thought, oh my word, I don't want to be the head of NEMA too. The best thing I did was the PAG Roadshow, called successful strategies for small sites or small historic sites or something like that. And it ran like 1996, 97, 98, 99. And then I think it was taken over by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically running a House Museum 101. And it meant that twice, 2 or 3 times a year, I traveled around the region. I would gather a few EDs before I left, and they would meet me and bring a coffee pot and a bunch of donuts. And everybody had a brown bag lunch, and we would meet from something like 9 to 4 in little places off the beaten track in New England.
Mm-hmm.
And we would review all the basics you need to know to run a small museum. And the need was tremendous, probably still is.
Mm-hmm.
And the passion those people exhibited made you want to weep. It was so fabulous, and yet they were so desperate in need.
Yeah.
They were trying to reinvent the wheel, and they didn't have to. All they needed to get was the basics. And I had a great time doing that.
So here's your chance to give thanks to everybody that supported you along the way. Is there anybody else besides Ted that you would like to call out in particular?
And Bob Sadler and my various board chairs, absolutely. And some of my board members. My board has really always been supportive. They change every few years and great people come in. So I have nothing about that. My husband, who's dead now, but he was a great supporter of me, and my kids were too. In fact, one of my proudest moments was when one of my kids joined this field.
We know Emily.
And she is one smart cookie, and I just think she's terrific. She's typical of the new young people coming along. I think it's great. Who else would I thank? I would thank all my colleagues in NEMA that I've come into and networked with. And my advice to young people is, when you go to conference, you don't have to attend all the sessions. Get out and talk to people. Network.
Yeah.
I mean, the sessions are great, no doubt about it. But networking is great too.
It's been a challenge this year, but I'm hoping that we're going to get a chance to be face to face again sometime soon.
You think?
Well, thank you, Susan. I appreciate it so much. It's been fantastic to, of course, be a colleague of yours and be under your guidance for so long. And it's also great to give you this award on behalf of our organization and, of course, our field. We admire you so greatly. So,
well, I'm very honored to join such a select group, I can tell you. I love them all. Thank you.